Been sitting at home first 2 weeks of the year, just working on admin, getting ready for the wave of work. Got some jobs coming up. However, I've been watching friends and colleagues covering the current ICE situation and protesting in Minneapolis, Portland, Washington, D.C., and elsewhere. I've exchanged a few messages, had some conversations. I mean, I'm concerned for the crews out there because I've been in a few of these situations. Now, as you know, it's not my career, photojournalism. Don't do it full time. But every once in a while, I go out and get thrown in these volatile situations. And a buddy of mine shot this piece that was making the rounds yesterday. And I am so worried I'm going to get a bottle broken over my head or I'm going to get hit from behind when I'm covering a situation. I'm going to talk about a situation I got myself into. But first, we'll run through some of the maintenance and admin business pieces of running a multi-decade freelance media production business. You know, these are the things no one really seeks out, that you learn through time and experience. Stating the obvious, but it's a totally different mental process to sustain yourself as an independent out there versus being staff at a big organization. First up is finding ways to save a little money when times are tight, things are slow. Got a quote from the dealer, front brake job. It's going to be just under $500, parts and labor. My son and I, over the holiday break, knocked it out. Total spend was right around $200 in parts. Next, I have been selling gear, trying to get out of a storage unit. If it's a piece of equipment that's been sitting more than a year, it's going away. In those wooden boxes are two Gemini 2x1s. I sold those Facebook Marketplace to a local director of photography. Savings on this will be about $2,000 a year. The remaining items are now in my backyard shed. This is a mix of rental property, infrequent tools, and video gear. For example, I have 2 teleprompter packages, which is like 6 cases, little Honda generator, and then family household storage, holiday decorations. I'm going to add one more rack in the back here to get organized and have an aisle. A viewer pointed out, thank you, at some point in December, my flags in the back of the van got flopped around. They were taken down because it was super windy on a location. And then they were haphazardly reinstalled. Texas flag and U.S. flag flopped around the wrong direction for vertical placement. So thank you for letting me know. I was a bit embarrassed. Second half of last year was slower than expected, plus slow pay from customers means I had to reduce my payroll. I generally overpay on taxes on the S-Corp side to offset taxes due from my rental property. So because income was down this year on the business side, I ended up having to make additional estimated payments. I still owe the IRS a couple of grand. I got to get it in before January 15th to not have a penalty. And I've been trying the last couple of days, and the IRS website has been down. And even though I don't live there, the state and city of New York are collecting taxes from me. Estimated payment. I got rust stains on the headliner of the cargo van due to leaky marker lights. I had put some gasket maker goo on the center ones a few years ago, which made the new ones even more difficult to install. I had to scrape away all the old gasket maker RTV material. But that's done. Hopefully I get another 5 years before I have to mess with that again. And in that process, I discovered I got leaky diesel fuel on my driveway. Now it's a gasoline-powered vehicle. Why is there diesel dripping? It's because I have a bunk heater that runs on diesel fuel. I added this little auxiliary tank under the hood. It's a gallon. That gives me about 5 overnights of heat to sleep in my bunk. During COVID, I used this a lot driving all over the southern half of the U.S. on jobs. And the little rubber fuel hoses have rusted or deteriorated and cracked and were leaky. So ordered new hoses. A couple of my hose clamps don't quite close small enough. So I have some smaller clamps on order. And then we reprimed the system. You can see here, I've got it installed behind the passenger seat. And we used this out in Galveston just before Christmas. We were out there on a 1-week shoot at a job site. It was cold. So we'd sit in the van with the bunk heater running, sipping diesel as opposed to idling the engine. Had all kinds of air in the line, and then it flooded the glow plug igniter system. So smoke show, getting the thing up and running again. So now we're good. Every year I go through this. I go through the summer months where I don't run it and it loses its prime, and then it takes a few attempts to get it recommissioned for the winter season. At 19 years old, as a college freshman, I had a part-time job at a production facility. I opened my first IRA account to start saving for retirement at 19. So we're doing the same for my son. We're going to get him an even better head start. So for his 18th year that he just completed, we're going to do a 529 to Roth IRA rollover. Started a savings account, college savings plan for my son when he was born. So 18 years of consistent contributions into that. That's been growing, invested in the stock market tax-free. He's now college age, has not yet enrolled, and hopefully we get there soon. But I want to start, you can do a lifetime max of $35,000 tax-free rolled from a 529 to a Roth IRA. So I want to get that compounding snowball going as soon as possible. So age 18, he earned enough because you can only roll up to what you earned in a year. So we're going to do that for age 18 as a previous tax year contribution. I've submitted the paperwork. It should get finalized on this coming Monday or Tuesday. It's a max for 2025 of $7,000 if you earned that much, but I'm going to keep that train going for him next couple of years while he's still in the house, and then also getting him up to speed so he can start making his own contributions. And the carrot there is I saved for 15 years in retirement accounts from age 19 to age 34. I stopped saving for retirement at 34. I got enough money in there. It's compounded because it's now been 29 years. Financial advisor that's been in my feed last couple of months. There are only two real paths to retirement: save for 30 years or buy assets that replace your salary. I don't remember the precise year, but it was about 25 years ago. I was in my early 20s. I remember the intersection and the parking lot vividly. Los Angeles, west side, maybe considered southwest side, Burlington and Vermont. And I was in this parking lot behind this taco stand. We were out getting some shots on the sidewalk. I think I was hi-hat slider, may have also had a tripod out, but the crew was a producer slash director, myself running the camera, and we had a sound guy. So crew of 3, and we had finished up and we were packing the trucks. And to be period appropriate, this is about the size of the camera I had at the time. I believe it was a KY D29 camera body with a digital S back, so literally this size camera, and it probably had a big furry mic on there too, and a large like a Pro Pack Anon Bauer battery. Sound guy, I think he parked a block or two away, so he had disappeared to pack up his car. I don't know where the producer was at that moment, but I was planning to buckle the built camera into the passenger seat of my van to drive to whatever our next location was for the day. And now, to be a little more age appropriate, I'm gonna have Beck stand in for me, 20-something-year-old me. Walking up to the cab with the plan to buckle the camera package into the passenger seat, and out of nowhere, this guy just appears, and he's got his body between the door and me and hands on the camera. And he was talking crazy. I don't remember the verbal exchange. I don't even know if I said anything, and I don't remember if he's like, give me the camera, I'm taking the camera, give me some money. I don't know what it was, but it was aggressive, and we're in this, and I just locked up. I don't think I said anything, and I was literally just frozen, didn't know how to handle the situation, but I wasn't letting go of the camera either. And I do remember it was like a two-hand situation, because I'm thinking, oh man, I think and this, it's been 25 years, maybe this popped into my head later, recreating the scenario. But you know, he was here. If he had reached for like a knife, I think I would have let go of the camera and let him take his thing, because obviously I got nowhere to go. I'm boxed in, literally boxed in. But regardless, he's here. It's probably 3 to 5 seconds, maybe less. And now Beck and I are gonna switch positions. Now, save me out of nowhere, my producer pops in, and I don't remember if it was an over-under or a double under with a suplex, but either one, I'm not gonna suplex. I'm too old for that craziness. Hurts my back. But he took him to the ground. All right, so my view is a little blocked by the van door. I'm not exactly sure how this went down, but takedown, boom. And then the guy's like bench pressing producer, and I think he came up knee on belly and just kind of, and then the guy's trying to sit up. Go ahead, sit up. Right, and then he went higher, started taking the air out of his lungs. I picked up my phone at this point and I dial 911, get a busy signal, hang up. I don't know what to do. I dial a second time, busy signal. Sound guy's gone. I think he was like I said, putting his gear back in his vehicle. Now at this point, there's like people, I don't know, neighbors
sidewalk dwellers appear, and they start getting hostile towards producer and me, like we're the aggressors causing trouble here, not the inverse. So in that moment, this guy, I think he's like, just let me go or something. I don't know, but producer stands up, guy gets up and just bolts. And I got in my van and drove off. And that was the end of it.
All right, I'd love to continue this discussion in the comments. Have you thought through some common scenarios? Most likely places you're going to get your gear jacked or get your own life put in harm's way. I mean, people are crazy, especially in the moment. And if you're out there doing news or just working in urban environments, man, it gets hostile in an instant. Also, when you're an owner operator and this is your hard-earned kit, and I know they say, they're like, oh, that's why it's insured, just file an insurance claim. Or clearly, when someone says that, there's somebody that's never had to file an insurance claim and probably never had to grow their own business either. I think I've got, whatever it is, $2,500 deductible, but the process to file for the claim, I'm going to be out of pocket that deductible. It's going to take quite a while to get a check. I got to have gear to cover my next couple of jobs over the next 4 weeks. I may have something the following day. If you're a big corp employee and it's the company's kit, your thought process is going to be a bit different than when this is your literal livelihood and how you feed your family, in addition to your own personal safety. It's a lot to think about. It's getting spicy out there. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments.